Hi, everyone. My name is Carmen, and welcome to this episode of Hannon Inside where we have one-on-one conversations with people of the William H. Hannon Library. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon to receive notifications every time we upload a new video. We have some amazing library events that are posted on this channel frequently, so you definitely don't want to miss them. But today I'll be chatting with Archivist Librarian for Archives and Special Collections, Marisa Ramirez.
Hello,
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to learn about you and your role at the library.
Cool.
Great, so let's get started.
All right.
When you tell people you work in the library, what is their typical reaction?
It really depends on who I'm talking to. If it's someone on campus, like guaranteed, everyone's like, "Oh my God, the library is so cool. We love the library," which is like the best to hear, of course. We have great PR people.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone seems to enjoy our work. And then when they hear archives specifically, there's usually a lot of like follow-up questions, like, "What do you have? What's this? Blah blah blah," like that kind of thing, which is really fun. Um, Anyone outside of that is confused usually, like, or they're like, "Oh, is it just like, it's quiet and you just get to like read all day?" And I'm like, "Oh no,
right,
no, there's a lot, especially in archives, there's a lot more like dust involved than you would think with a normal. It's not whenever I get to wander the stacks, it's really fun, but it's a little different. There's a lot of like, "What, you need a master's to be a librarian? That's why?" And it's like, we
right,
teach classes, we teach college students, it's a
right.
little, yeah, but
Yeah.
it really depends.
There's definitely that like librarian stereotype, so that's definitely why we're here today to learn more about what it's really like to work in the library.
Right.
So great. Tell us about your job in the library.
So my job is technically archivist, though I do, my HR title also is librarian, so it's kind of both. And again, depending on who I'm talking to, I'll like give one or the other because it makes more sense.
Right,
Some people don't necessarily know what an archivist is. They usually at least think they know what a librarian is. They always think shush people, but it's like, oh my God, the
right,
librarians do so much. They
definitely.
teach, they do instruction, they answer reference, which is part of my job. I do sit at the front desk normally when we're open, and we answer questions from researchers, students, outside researchers. We do instruction for different classes that are coming into archives, so I do have that as part of my job description. But when it comes to my job specifically, I'm the one who gets to do like the funnest job in the department. I feel bad saying that, but it's really fun. Usually, whenever a donor gives us something, it's in whatever way they wanted to give us that thing. It's, bankers boxes and folders, great. Just a bag with a bunch of loose stuff, that's another option. Sometimes there's leaves and bugs, and that's okay. And we clean it out. We gotta do for them.
Right.
Yeah, today I've got stuff behind me, and one of them was in a giant Ziploc bag, and I'm like, that's fine because there was a label on it, and oh my God, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes things are not labeled, and that's a lot of work. So what I do is just kind of get it from the donor to the researcher. So a lot of that is not just, putting it in like clean folders and making sure everything looks good. It's also creating finding aids, which is where the master's degree comes in, because I have to know like how exactly to put these in different series. Like,
Hmm.
should I separate the photos from the documents, but they're both from the same event? Should they then be together? And that kind of like intellectual like organization, information architecture kind of, it's the one of the classes I took in school, and it's kind of shows you like how to organize things. So that's a main part of my job, is actually physically processing the material and then writing up the description to it. So overall, that's kind of what I do. Organize and clean. If you're
Yeah.
organized and clean, it's a great job for you.
Yeah. So your role is really like a niche in librarianship, right?
Yeah, definitely. There are actually a lot of archivists that are not librarians. They just work for different organizations. I mean, Frito-Lay has an archivist, like, it's, you work for a company and you archive all of their things. So whenever they do like a throwback bag, they probably have to go to their archivist and be like, what did it look like in the 30s? And it's like right here, and that kind of thing. So it's a very specific job. I'm just lucky in that I get to be a librarian too, because that
Right.
it makes it funner. It's double the job, but in a really fun way though.
Definitely. So how did you become a librarian and archivist?
So that's a weird story. I was actually a biology major, and it was funny hearing my coworker Stephanie say that she was also a science major. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is us. And for the same reason, I was like, I want to be a vet and I want to be a research scientist. And like, I'm going through the program and I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. But sadly, I kind of was my senior year when that was happening. So I was like, I'm going to finish the degree.
Right.
But I actually fell in love with one of my classes. It was mammalogy, and we got to visit the mammalogy department in the Natural History Museum, and we got to see the curator, who was also an alumni at the time. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, look at, they have like drawers with like the animals, and everything has a label, and it's all like in a database. And I'm like, this is kind of fun. And after I graduated and had my bachelor's of science, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do with this, but in the meanwhile, I was offered a job to work as staff at the LMU library because I'm an alumni from here.
Yay.
And I started doing that. It was a part-time job, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep trying with the science. So I volunteered with the same curator or the collections manager, and I did exactly what I'm doing now. He gave me a box of animal skins and was like, you need to organize these and put them in the system. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fun. And like, I'm into, it was rodents, and it was really fun. It was just, organizing them into where they were gathered, putting them into the system, writing, whatever labels for them. And it was like, it was the funnest thing ever. And I didn't realize until way later that in my own library where I work, the Department of Archives and Special Collections does very similar work to that. I didn't really know at the time. So I worked in acquisitions and collection development for a long, long time. And I was there, and an opening came up for this department, and I kind of jumped. I jumped for it. I was like, I want to work there because I had been going to all the exhibits, and I'd seen a few things. Acquisitions department actually does a lot of like the processing like fiscally for this department. So we kind of got to do show and tells every once in a while, and we'd come up, and I was like, this is the coolest job ever. They get to like, touch things. Because my old job was a lot of, computer processing, really important work, but I'm really a hands-on person. So I started working here. And while I was working here, I finished my master's degree. The archivist position popped up, and I just kept moving. And now I'm doing like I love this.
Nice. I love that. That's an awesome journey to where you are now, and now you get to kind of integrate all of those interests as archivist. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, I didn't think it would work out. I was just like, well, I'm just gonna have to find a different path. But I'm like still doing the kind of things. I mean, a lot of science, they teach you, that kind of like hierarchy of like how things are organized, and it really does play in taxonomy, and it carries on over to this job kind of great. So it wasn't a complete, it was a great education here. Let me say school, so everything worked out perfectly.
That's great to hear. So, how have you adapted your job to the online environment?
So we were completely online for a few months. It was, of course, you remember March, April, May, I think we're still sent home. And I was like, oh boy. And I was just doing a lot of like metadata cleanup, and a lot of, our files weren't really organized intellectually, like in the inbox online and that kind of thing. I was doing like organization and writing things up, taking classes on, cataloging, because we do have a few books, and I was trying to figure out what to do, but it was like, I really, really need to get back into the building because I need to process things. And around June or July, we needed someone from our department to go in anytime there was a research inquiry, to come in and maybe scan things or figure things out. And I volunteered for that. I was like, I live near campus, so it worked out.
Yeah.
So I started coming in regularly. At this point, all 4 of us in our department are back, but we're taking different days, so we don't actually have to,
come in contact.
We're trying to keep safe and distance. So it's tricky when I come in, and Tuesdays are my day in, and I just do any kind of processing that I can, and I take a ton of pictures of like whatever I'm working on. So then when I get back home, that's when I do a lot of like the typing up and the creating the finding aid, and whatever I do as little typing computer stuff as I can when I'm at work, and then I try to save that all. So it's kind of both. So I'm still coming in, I'm still doing both. It's tricky, and I wish I could come in more often sometimes. But so far I'm making it work, and I've managed to process a few collections, and we're able to answer research inquiries because we are still open. if anyone thinks we're completely closed down, that's not quite true. If you need something, we're able to scan things, we're able to take pictures. It's not the same as being able to, hold something, but
Right.
for now, it's making do, I think. It's going okay.
Right. That's great. You've been able to have more of like a hybrid experience during the pandemic right now.
Definitely. Yeah. With some of my older jobs, I would be able to completely do everything online and that would have been fine. But this one, I'm glad I'm still able, it's nice to get out of the house every once in a while
Yeah.
carefully. But and it's the campus has been good. I'm in a very secure department, so it's just me and I really don't see anyone even when I'm here. Though we're happy to have students back for study space, which is great.
Yes.
Yeah, for the most part, it's just me, and I'm able to do a little bit of work at a time. I kind of just squeeze as much as I can in the one day and wait until next week.
Right. That's great. So are there any departments in the library or the university in general that you tend to work closely with?
It's funny, I'm sure it was organized this way, but the third floor is a lot of the I work a lot with the people on the third floor. We have the Department of Systems and Digital Initiatives right around the corner from us. And they're the ones that actually do a lot of like the digital and the scanning of our materials. So what we do is we have everything ready to go and we're like, okay, we need this scanned and uploaded, and they do all the wonderful things that you see if you go to the LMU digital collections, and I recommend you search that because there's so many amazing resources on there. They're the ones that are actually scanning and doing all of that, and we work closely. If they have questions like where did this come from, it's not labeled blah blah whatever, we work with them all the time. We also work with outreach a lot because a lot of people don't really know what we do or what we have. A lot of the really, really cool material we have. We're not just the university archives. We also have the special collections is the other half of the department, and it's just collections that come from everywhere. We have just a lot of LA history, a lot of Catholic history, but we have just a bunch of other random things. And I don't want to say random like in a bad way, but it's just a lot of different varying
Definitely.
things.
A lot of unique things.
A
Yeah.
lot of really unique things. We have a collection of screenplays. We have some Hollywood stuff. The stuff I'm working on right now is from, oh, I probably shouldn't talk about it until it's processed, but it's really, really exciting old Hollywood history that I think is going to be something that will work with the outreach department to like tell people like, look what we have. Isn't this cool? Our department also takes turns doing Instagram. So when you see something that's hashtag artifact of the week, that's one of the people in my department that is like, oh, this is really cool. We should share this. So we do like, check out what we found. This is from here. Like you can come look at it in person. Of course, not right now, but at some point. So
Right.
yeah, we work with outreach a lot. And then we work with every other department, I think. Reference often like kicks a question up to us if someone's asking about something in the archives. That's kind of our specialty, of course. So they're able to do that. I think we work with almost everyone. It's a really cool library. It's a bunch of different departments. I can't remember how many off the top of my head, but we all work together.
Cool. Yeah. To everyone watching, definitely check out the library's Instagram for highlighted from the archives collections because there's some really cool ones on there that I didn't know the library had until I saw on Instagram too.
Yeah, a lot of times, well, I tend to do mine last minute, which I'm sure is not the outreach department doesn't love, but sometimes I'm just down there and I'm like, what? We have these pins, weird, and I just like take a picture and I save it for when it's my turn to do Instagram,
Yeah.
and then I plop it on because I don't know everything that's down there. I mean, our materials located in a vault, and it's just closed off from everyone, and it's gigantic. And sometimes you just open a box and you're just like, wow, I didn't. There's a mask from Planet of the Apes in here, that kind of thing. It's like, I didn't know we had that. Or there's like a Letterman jacket from when it was Loyola University, like the sweater, like the old timey one with the patch on it, and it's like, oh, this is so cool. So
That's so cool. Yeah, you'll never know what you'll find down there, it seems like.
no, I'll never see everything that's down there as long as I live.
I love that. So for our final question, do you have any lasting words you'd like to leave for the LMU students and community in general?
So for the general LMU community, especially students, I was a student here. Get your money's worth. You're helping. One of the lines in your tuition is library fees. Use the library. We are still open. We've always been open. We never took a break when quarantine started. Please, if you need help with anything, citations. I was one of the students that was definitely too scared to ask anyone, and it was not a good thing. You want to make use of everything we have. if you have questions with anything, pretty much, even if we don't have the answer, we'll find the answer, because that's what librarians do. It's like we don't know everything, but we know how to find everything pretty much. So make use, and for people with our department specifically, again, we're here. You're allowed as a student to look at anything in our collection. I mean, if you hear that we have the Shakespeare First Folio, which is kind of like the star of our collection, you can just make an appointment and register and come and look at it and just sit with it. You can do it. It doesn't have to be for a class. If you're curious about something, just just ask us, and it's always worth a shot. I was, again, too scared as a student. I was like, oh, I don't know, you need to do all this and wear gloves, and it's like, but we're here for you though. We work with outside researchers, but it's always an extra joy when it's a student that's like, my club is celebrating its 25th anniversary. Do you have anything from when we started? And it's like, sometimes we do, and we're able to do that, and you can do like a cute like throwback to like, this is what our club looked like in the 50s
Right.
or whatever. I mean, that's fun. And with that in mind, if you are in a student organization and you want the archives to have some of your things so you can maybe use it for a future reunion, please contact us. We would love to work with you and see what we can do.
That is so true and so comforting to know that the library is truly always there for students whenever.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. If you have any other questions or just want to learn more from Marisa, you can email her at marisa.ramirez@lmu.edu. But thank you so much to Marisa for joining me today. I had a great time.
Thank you, Carmen. It was fun.
Of course, thank you. Remember to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at LMU Library, and go to library.lmu.edu to learn more about events coming up. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video. Thank you so much again. And thank you to everyone watching. Have a great day.